for Mike Rudnick. He picks up some nice yardage on this run. Rudnick also scored the first 2 Anoka touchdowns. This one on a short plunge. His top-ranked Tornadoes went on to beat Osseo tonight 41-7. Meanwhile, in Boynesville tonight, the Braves rolled into Section AA, 6 AA quarterfinals. First quarter, number 11, Bob Keeney breaks up the middle. He will take it all the way for a touchdown to give the Braves a 14-0 lead. They went on to beat Kennedy tonight 28-0. Our Skylights game tonight comes from the home stomping grounds of the Minnesota Conference champion Lakeville Panthers, where they were hosting Lake City tonight in Section 1 of Class Single A quarterfinals. And we buzzed in to check out the action. Most of the action was turned in by a Lakeville junior named Scott Sievers. Watch as number 27 busts and then gets into the end zone from 18 yards out, 7-0 Panthers. Minutes later, Sievers will get the call again. Blasts up the gut for another 6 point. Lakeville goes on to beat Lake City tonight 52-2. After having a tough 4 games to open up the regular season, you kind of got the feeling the Gopher hockey team was hoping for a little bit of a breather tonight when they hosted. Randy.
All right, that's right, Tom. The Prep Sports Extra tonight's been moved to 11:05 after Cheers. A couple of reasons why. The number one is it's the biggest night of the year for prep football. We need more time than what we normally would get during a newscast. So we've moved the extra to 11:05. We've got about 7.5 minutes tonight to show you all the highlights and scores. Here's a preview, though. Anoka, the number 1 team in the state. Mike Rudnick goes 94 yards against Osseo tonight. Anoka cruises in Section 4. 41-7 was the final score in that game. We shot tonight 15 football games, and tonight at 11:05 after Cheers, we will have complete coverage of the high school football playoffs, night number 1 tonight, again at 11:05. And TR, as we head back to you, the state soccer tournament starts.
Upset in Section 2 AA. Hastings struck with a pair of fourth-quarter touchdowns to knock off Hill Murray. The Raiders' Ken Pletcher won it in the final minute. On the quarterback keeper, Hastings wins it 13-7 over Hill Murray. Elsewhere in Section 2 AA, Stillwater over Sibley 28-9. Woodbury losing to Park of Cottage Grove in overtime 20-14. And White Bear Lake 27-21 over Tartan. In Section 3, number 1 seeded Cretin-Derham Hall went to work on Roseville. Chris Walsh to Charles Klug gets work that way all season. The Raiders roll over the Raiders of Roseville at final 42-0. Johnson edged Como Park 13-12. Elsewhere in Section 3, St. Thomas Academy appears to be peaking just in time. The Cadets ran over St. Paul Central. Dave Hamilwith, the old bootleg, carries it out to perfection. St. Thomas Academy ends the Minimit's season 36-6. Elsewhere, Highland Park easily over Harding. It was Forest Lake 24-7 over Mounds View. Coon Rapids defeats Park Center 21-20. Blaine over Irondale 28-14. Anoka, number 1 in the state, 41-7 over Osseo. In Section 6, Edina and Rosemount battle. The Hornets' talented quarterback, J.P. Prestes, beat the Irish defense 52-2. Monticello and Hutchinson. Hutchinson, the winner, 15-6. Orono, 32-20 over Chaska. Moving along, Jordan, De La Salle, nothing in there. De La Salle, the favorite in that one. And Brooklyn Center, 40-0 over Watertown Mayor. High school soccer champions are being...
This is a Carol Evans Sports special edition of our Prep Sports Extra. Now, here's Randy Shaver.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for staying up with us. We begin our special playoff coverage tonight with the very tough Section 4 in Class AA. I think on any given night, any of these 8 teams could win this section, but Anoka, for now, is the team to beat. Tonight, they hosted Osseo, and Mike Rudnick had a big night. 94-yard touchdown run. The final was 41-7. Anoka, of course, had beaten Osseo in the very first game of the season, 30-zip. Osseo ends a disappointing season at 2-7. Well, meanwhile, at Forest Lake, the Rangers got a big play against Mounds View, the old double pass. Number 23, Tom Schlavine, will hit number 81, Dan Conway, down to the Mustangs' 10-yard line. This set up a touchdown run by the Rangers, Schlavine, and they win their 7th game of the season. Forest Lake, a winner tonight in Section 4. We check the final. 24-7 over Mounds View. Anoka, a winner, 41-7. Blaine behind Jerry Rattan's 160 yards, beats Irondale, and an upset, Coon Rapids over Park Center. Defending state champion Burnsville beat Kennedy tonight despite an injury. The star quarterback Chad Eamon ripped some skin off fingers of his passing hand after catching them on a helmet. Backup quarterback Bob Keeney will score on this 40-yard option play in the third quarter. He also got injured later in the football game. Burnsville wins. They're now 9-0 on the year. Meanwhile at Jefferson, watch number 23, Mike Rosinski, going to go 80 yards. If we can go to that highlight, the Jefferson game tonight. Do we got it? Here it is. Watch him go against Hopkins tonight. This was a big run because it pretty much put the game away for Jefferson, and they win tonight in Section 6, as does Burnsville as we check the final. 28-0, Burnsville a winner. Jefferson over Hopkins. Richfield shut out Eden Prairie, and Edina in double overtime over Rosemount. In Section 7, Cambridge beat St. Francis, Bemidji by 20, Brainerd beat Denfeld, and it was Grand Rapids in big fashion. In Section 8 tonight, watch number 32, Rob Weplow, score in the second half for Wayzata. That's a touchdown against Wilmer. That made it 14-0, and that's how it ended up. We'll give St. Cloud Apollo credit as we go to Minnetonka now, and highlights from that game. They scored late in the game to get on the board. Mike Sanford to Steve Dalger, but the Skippers win big time tonight. We checked Section 8. Minnetonka 26-6. St. Cloud Tech still unbeaten. Wayzata over Wilmer. Shane Martin, 3 touchdowns for Elk River. Let's backtrack in Class AA now to Section 1. Apple Valley is the section's top seed. They hosted Winona tonight. The story in this game early was defense. The Eagles recover a fumble here against the 2-6 Windhawks. That turnover set up a touchdown. Matt Dahlhauser will take it in. Marvin Sims, 157 yards and 2 TDs, the final. Apple Valley 34-12. Mayo over Albert Lee. Faribault beat JM, and Owatonna a shutout winner. Section 3, Hastings at Hill Murray, dandy game. Raider quarterback Ken Pletcher scores to tie the game at 7-7. Then it's Pletcher again later in the fourth quarter. Off the option play, watch him run to the left side. He gets into the end zone to give Hastings a 13-7 lead. 2 seconds to go in the football game now. Hill Murray, the desperation pass. Number 26, Tony Selesky, knocks it away, and Hastings wins the game 13-7. Meanwhile at Tartan tonight, an upset. Matt Malmberg will score for the Titans here against White Bear Lake to make it 7-0. It's an 8-yard run. But White Bear Lake comes back to win this game. Number 28, Matt Lovett, will break a tackle. Watch him run here. He'll spin, break a tackle, and he's gone. 61 yards for the score, and White Bear Lake out of the St. Paul Suburban wins tonight the final, 27-21. Park Cottage wins in overtime. Stillwater over Sibley. Hastings beat Hill Murray. Chris Walsh, 2 touchdown passes, 276 yards for Cretin. Johnson over Como. St. Thomas Academy a winner, and Highland Park beat Harding. In the St. Thomas win, cadet quarterback Dave Hamel, number 17. Good day for him. He runs for a touchdown here. He threw for 3 others. 36-6, St. Thomas Academy a winner. Meanwhile at Highland Park, the Scots won their 7th game of the season. As we go to that, quarterback Jason Harris. Watch him scramble. He's going to go up the middle now, and he's gone. 45 yards for the score. Highland had this game well under control. 41-11 was the final. Let's go to Class A. Check out the local teams in action tonight. We start with Lakeville hosting Lake City. By the time we got to this game tonight, Lakeville had it well in hand. Bruce Lovelace scores here from 1 yard out. Lakeville now 8-1 on the year. The final, 52-2. Red Wing over Simley. New Prague is now 8-1 with the win in Stewartville. Section 2, Fairmont over Worthington. Mankato West a winner. St. Peter wins, and Blue Earth a winner. Section 3, Class A, Farmington by 22. South St. Paul advances. Spring Lake Park, no problems. Totino Grace over Matamidi. In that game, Grace, number 25, Mark Erickson, scores from short yardage to make it 24-7. And that was the final, 31-7. Let's go to Orono now. Highlights from that game. Chaska against Orono. Touchdown pass here. Chris Zerwanka hauls it in, but Orono comes back to win. We check the final, 32-20 Orono. Hutchinson over Monticello. Delano beat Waconia. Wasika over Glencoe. Section 5, Fridley had this game well in hand by the time we got there. Matt Oprin scores there. We check the final, 62-7. As we go to the scoreboard, Fridley over Chicago Lake. Sauk Rapids a winner. Mora over Foley. Columbia Heights wins 45-20. In Section 6, Albany a winner. Litchfield advances. New London Spicer a winner. Sartell over Cold Spring.
As they get the number 1 seed in their section. Also with the number 1 seed in their section are the Burnsville Braves. Number 3 will go to Apple Valley. They are at the number 1 spot in Region 1AA. Park Center will be the number 2 seed in Section 4AA, and won't that be something if Park Center and Anoka meet for the Section 4AA title, the number 1 and number 4 team in Class AA meeting in the same game. Cretin-Durham Hall will handle the number 5 spot. They've been there all year long. They have the number 1 seed in Region 3AA. Wayzata at number 6. It'll be Richfield at number 7. That might be an interesting matchup. And then it's Elk River at the number 8 spot. Now, Wayzata and Elk River certainly with a chance to meet each other in Section 8AA. Blaine will handle the number 9 spot, so that's 3 teams in the top 10 in Section 4AA. And then Park of Cottage Grove with the number 3 seed, although they beat the Tartan Titans, and look forward to meeting the Stillwater Ponies perhaps in the Section 2AA playoffs. And that will bring us to our Player of the Week. Now, the Player of the Week comes this time from Class A, and it's from a team that you ordinarily wouldn't expect. De La Salle won 3 basketball titles in the 19...
After injuries to their 2 top quarterbacks on Tuesday, there was speculation they may be hurting on offense. And in fact, they didn't score tonight against Jefferson until the 3rd quarter. It was backup quarterback Bob Keeney pitching to starting quarterback Chad Emons, who played running back tonight. He scores the touchdown. Keeney turns it on the option play here, going 55 yards for the score. And Burnsville's offense gets untracked in the second half, and they beat Jefferson tonight to advance 20-9. Meanwhile, at Richfield tonight, the only touchdown in this game, number 38, Amos Casey scores from 4 yards out against Edina, and Richfield will get Burnsville in the 6AA final. We check the scoreboard, 7-2. Richfield over Edina. Burnsville advances. In 4AA, the other tough section, Anoka beats Blaine tonight, and Forest Lake over Coon Rapids. In that Anoka game, the Tornadoes go up 28-6 on this run in the 3rd quarter by Mike Hoheney. And Anoka then would have to hold on because back comes Blaine. Jerry Rattan, number 21, will haul in this pass here and score. The final was 30-22 Anoka. They're the number 1 team in Class AA at 10-0 this year. Marvin Sims had a good night for Apple Valley as we go to the scoreboard. The final in that one in Section 1 was 22.
Met in a Section 4 AA semifinal showdown tonight. Dwayne Johnson of Anoka saying, let's slow those Bengals and their momentum. Give the ball to Mike Rudnick. The Tornadoes respond. Rudnick, their money back here, chased in, around, and outside, and the Maroon was just warming up in Pumpkin Land. Rudnick again, this time off an inside reverse. He leaves the Blaine defense in his footsteps and trots in for 6, and Anoka had to hang on in that game. A wild one, 30-22 was the final, but the Tornado is headed for the Dome. 21-17, Forest Lake beats...
Goes to work, takes the option pitch, breaks 1 tackle, and races down the sidelines. Leotis Flowers in the 1st minute of the 3rd quarter.
7-2 is that final score. 20-9 for the Burnsville Braves over Jefferson. 13-12, Faribault beats Owatonna in 1AA, and Apple Valley beats Rochester Mayo. Matt Balo is crying in the corner. 21-6. Section 3, Cretin-Durham Hall the favorite for good reason against St. Paul Johnson tonight. Carl McCullough intercepts Jim Gustafson. That set up 1 Raider touchdown. They have visions of the Dome at Cretin, and they have the attack to back it. Chris Walsh has a couple favorite targets. One, Charles Klug. The duo hook up here. It is a familiar sight. Cretin-Durham Hall takes a step toward the Dome with that win over Johnson tonight. Cretin-Durham Hall 31-3. Highland Park a 1-point win over St. Thomas Academy, and they will meet Highland Park in the section finals. As we said, that's because the Scots win this thriller over the Academy. Brockman there, Kerry goes through the Cadets defense for 6, a standout. St. Thomas trailed by 1. They set up for a last-second field goal. Mike Ames with a 35-yard attempt. It was blocked by Highland Park. The Scots win it 29-28. What a finish there, as you just saw. St. Cloud Tech 13-12 over the Skippers of Minnetonka. 28-3, Elk River blasts Wayzata. Class A, it was a matchup common to the...
Welcome to Prep Sports Weekly. I'm your host, Bob Radovich. I'll be filling in this week and next for Charlie Stellick, who's on vacation. Now, the high school football playoffs are well underway, and we'll have action for you from this quarterfinal and semifinal rounds. As is usually the case in high school sports, there have been a few upsets. We'll tell you who knocked off the favorites and how they did it. KABL was right at one of the most exciting semifinal games, a game that featured the top-ranked Anoka Tornadoes hosting the Blaine Bengals. We'll have highlights for you of that game coming up soon. Now, Bill Honecker will join me as we bring you highlights and scores from that game and other games in the quarterfinal and semifinal actions in high school football. Now, state champions have already been crowned in girls tennis, and we'll bring you the results and some highlights as both individual and team champions have been crowned. Boys and girls soccer, those playoffs have been completed at the section level, and the state tournament will start today, Monday. We'll have the scores and the first-round matchups in that state tournament for you. Now, soccer semifinals for the state will be played at the Metrodome on Wednesday, and the finals in both boys and girls soccer will be played on Thursday. KABL will be there, and we'll have those championship games for you broadcast on a tape delay basis. Stay tuned. We'll have volleyball, swimming, gymnastics as well, along with cross country. You're watching Prep Sports Weekly. Urban Conference title and the top ranking in the Twin Metro area and also the state. Now, one of those close games was a 23-8 win over the Blaine Bengals, Twin City Suburban Conference rivals. And in that game, the Blaine Bengals made a strong comeback, and the Blaine Bengals also finished the season very strong as well. Now, in the Section 4AA quarterfinals, Anoka exploded for 20 fourth quarter points. They went on to defeat Osseo by the score of 41-7. Meanwhile, Blaine defeated Irondale by a score of 28-14 behind the running of Jerry Wrightan and Shane Noga. Now, that set up a rematch between the Tornadoes and the Bengals. Now, last year, the Tornadoes lost to Blaine in the quarterfinals. Would an upset happen again? KABL was there at the Pumpkin Bowl in Anoka, and it was a packed house at Goodrich Field, and they watched a good one. Here's Brooke Parent going to his favorite wide receiver on the sidelines. These two would work that play over and over during the game. There's Jerry Wrightan, Blaine's fine running back, and it would be Wrightan with the first big play of the game. He fields this Bart Johnson punt way back in his own 20-yard line. He cuts up the sideline, picks up his blockers, and there he goes. He picks up a 30-yard return, and Coach Dwayne Johnson of Anoka is looking at some ways to stop Jerry Wrightan. But his defense would stop Blaine as this fourth down pass goes incomplete as Blaine had good field position. Anoka comes back. They hand the ball on their first carry to Mike Rudnick. His first carry, and there he goes. Look at him go. All the way for the touchdown, a 66-yard touchdown run for Mike Rudnick on his first carry of the game. Anoka goes up by a score of 7-0, and the Anoka fans are going wild. Now, later in that first quarter, it was Brooke Parent back to pass, looking for who else? Number 7, Jeremy Lorette. He hauls in this pass, and it's a big game for the Tornadoes, and they're in business again. But that drive failed, and Anoka brings on Steve Magnuson for the field goal. The kick is up, and it's no good. Hits the crossbar. Now watch Magnuson take out his frustrations. 23 at the bottom of your screen. He just drills Chad Weeks. Big hit that time for Magnuson. Magnuson would also play a part later in the quarter. Here he picks off the tip pass, runs into his blocker, and goes down the sideline. Now that interception would set up the play you're about to see. Mike Rudnick will take the handoff from Brooke Parent. He'll go on the left end. Look at the pulling guards. Look at the blocking he gets. And Rudnick is in for the score, and it's 14-0 Anoka. Now Anoka coming back in the second quarter. Here's the long bomb. Parent to Loretz. The big play working again for Anoka. Now watch the ball handling here in the backfield. It's 25 Haney handing it off on the inside reverse to Mike Rudnick. He goes in for the score. Second half, Blaine comes back. Right-hand plows over from 2. Then after a Haney touchdown, Aaron Smith goes back. He looks for 21, Jerry Wrightan. Wrightan goes in for the score, and with the two-point conversion, it's 28-14 Anoka. Now Anoka would pick up a two-point safety when a punt goes over the head, but Blaine comes back on that touchdown that you saw Weeks on the receiving end. But Anoka runs out the clock, and there you see the score. 30-22, the Anoka Tornadoes defeat the Blaine Bengals and end the fine career of Jerry Wrightan. 30-22, Anoka over Blaine. Now in the other Section 4AA finals, it was the surprising Coon Rapids Cardinals who pulled off a big upset in the first round when they defeated Park Center 22-21 by blocking an extra point in the last seconds of that game. Now Forest Lake jumped to an early lead over Monsview in their quarterfinal game, and they went on to cruise to a 24-7 win. In the game last Saturday up at Forest Lake, it was Coon Rapids who got out of the blocks early. They scored 2 touchdowns on the ground and picked up a field goal in the first half. They took a 17-3 lead into the locker room in what looked to be a big upset. Forest Lake came back in the third quarter with the field goal of their own, but still found themselves trailing by 11 points late in the game. And that's when quarterback Corey O'Neill went to work. He tossed 2 touchdown passes and a 2-point conversion to pull this one out for the Rangers. That last touchdown coming on a lateral after a completed pass. Mike Schlavin going in for the touchdown on that one. Forest Lake survives, but just barely, as you see the score here, 21-17 over Coon Rapids. Coon Rapids closing strong, and in a losing effort, Pete Cutches with a fine effort, 15 of 23 passing for 170 yards for the senior quarterback of Coon Rapids. So Forest Lake and Anoka advance into the Section 4 AA final game, which will be played next Friday night, but neither team had an easy time, Bill Honecker.
No, as you said, Blaine knocked off Anoka last year during the playoffs, and this time Anoka flip-flopped that as they knocked off Blaine, the 1989 State AA Class A champions. And these two teams met earlier in the season. Just how earlier? The second game of the season they played each other. Anoka won that game by the score 23-3. Anoka continued with their high-powered offense, and you have to credit their defense during the regular season. They only allowed their opponents to score 49 total points. In Saturday's game, Forest Lake slipped by Coon Rapids. It was Coon Rapids who had the early momentum. They scored 2 touchdowns and a field goal and had the momentum going in their way at halftime as they went in leading by the score of 17-3. However, in the second half, Forest Lake came out firing, and Forest Lake trailed by 11 with little time remaining in the second half. That's when quarterback Corey O'Neill went to work. He had 2 touchdowns late in the quarter, ran an extra point conversion, and Forest Lake gets by Coon Rapids by the score of 21-17. Now, Bob, Forest Lake does have an excellent running game with John Tolt and Tom Schlaben, so this could be a close game for Anoka.
Could be a very close game, and it will be a test for that Anoka defense. They gave up some points late in their game to Blaine, and like you said, Bill, Forest Lake does feature a strong running attack, but Anoka is a very strong team as well. Now, the number 2 team in our football poll was the Burnsville Braves. They opened up the defense of their 6th AA crown by hosting Bloomington Kennedy last Tuesday night at Bob Pate Stadium in Burnsville. And let's go to the highlights. And it was Burnsville getting out to an early lead in this one. Watch quarterback Chad Eamon faking the play up the middle, and he just takes it around the right end, and there he goes. He's gone for the touchdown. 70 yards for Chad Eamon. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the metro area. Burnsville jumping off to an early 7-0 lead as they celebrate that touchdown in the end zone. Now, Burnsville, earlier in the year, had defeated the high-powered Apple Valley team with strong defense. Now, the defense would play a big part in this game as well. Watch number 54, Steve Sampson, just blow through the line. He sacks the Kennedy quarterback. No chance for Kennedy on that one. Sampson had a big game against Apple Valley, big game in this one as well. Burnsville back on offense. Eamon, the quarterback, he hands it on the inside reverse, this time to number 11, Bob Keeney. Another fine athlete for Burnsville. He breaks it through. Another long touchdown run. Keeney all the way. That dive just won't do it. Keeney goes into the end zone for the big score, and Burnsville's up 14-0. Kennedy's not happy about the position they find themselves in. Now, later on in that game, watch Chad Eamon as he's back to pass. He's under pressure. He throws. He's hit just as he releases the ball, and he is injured on the play. Catches a hand on the helmet. Look at the blood coming out of that one. So in comes number 11, Bob Keeney, to take over at quarterback. He runs the option. Look at this. Boom. Takes the late hit. Flags are flying. Eamon goes out. Keeney goes out. So number 15, Matt Dickinson, the third-string quarterback, goes in. Nothing fancy there. Coach tells him to hand it off. He does. Number 42, Josh Decker, going in for the score, and it's Burnsville advancing into the semifinals with a 28-0 win over Bloomington Kennedy. Elsewhere in Section 6 AA, it was Bloomington Jefferson 24-14 over Hopkins. Richfield shut out Eden Prairie 22-0, and in 2 overtimes, Edina defeats Rosemont by the score of 19-18. Now, one of the nice things about having good athletes at the skill positions is that if you're the coach, if there's an injury, you can make some adjustments, and that's just what Burnsville coach Dick Hansen did for that semifinal game against Bloomington Jefferson. Since Eamon was out with a hand injury,
we'll have all the weapons ready to go, starting with the leading rusher in the Twin Cities Suburban Conference in Mike Rudnick. Rudnick averages over 100 yards a game and finished the regular season with 1,015. If the Bengals stop the Tornadoes on the ground, then quarterback Brooke Parent goes to Jeremy Loretz, the #1 receiver in the TCSC. Add to that the #1 rated defense, and it would appear to be an unbeatable combination. Maybe, but Blaine will have something to say about that when Jerry Righthand takes the field. He missed most of the first game against the Tornadoes with a thigh bruise and still led the conference in scoring. He's a small back, but faster and quicker than most of the backs that Anoka has faced this year. Blaine and Anoka at the Pumpkin Bowl for the right to go to the Region 4 AA final here on This Week in Sports. signals. First man through is Canary, and Canary's got himself some room in the secondary. One man to get away, and he's gone. 20, 10, 5, touchdown to the Blaine Bengals. There is Brett Johnson. Johnson streaking down the sideline. He's got a return going. Cuts back inside. And he makes the pylon. Touchdown, Anoka Tornadoes. No flag.
18-yard line. In motion is Sander. Townsend, fade pattern. Underthrown, but it's going to be a touchdown.
Fisher again.
Hi everybody, Andy Bow along with Bob Bredovich. Tonight the Region 4AA semifinals at Goodrich Field in Anoka between the Anoka Tornadoes and the Blaine Bengals. The Anoka Tornadoes #1 in the state. 9-0 record, 7-0 in the conference. They were the Twin Cities Suburban champions. Meanwhile, Blaine 6-3, 5-2 in the conference. Very respectable for a young team. They're great rivals, Anoka and Blaine. Coach Dave Nelson of Blaine grew up in Anoka. He's patterned his program after the Anoka Tornadoes program. And Bob, Anoka, they really deserve their #1 ranking.
You mentioned the Anoka Tornadoes 7-0 on the conference, Andy, and this is a team that dominated through the conference season. Their closest win was a 24-14 win over Stillwater, a game you saw right here on KABL. They also defeated Blaine earlier in the season 23-8, and it was Anoka's defense that really told the story in that one. They really shut down Blaine's fine running back, Jerry Wrighton, held him to 38 yards, and Anoka's defense, they're the #1 defense, or they were the #1 defense in the Twin Cities Suburban Conference. They're very strong. They're also a very strong offensive team, very good on the special teams. This is a team with no apparent weakness, and they have really not been tested during this season. Now, if you look at some of the key players, Mike Rudnick, he's the main man in the backfield. He's their leading rusher over the year. He's the #1 rusher in the Twin Cities Suburban. Brooke Parent, the #2 passer in the Twin Cities Suburban Conference as well. So this is a team with some very good skill players. But if you listen to Brooke Parent, the quarterback, he'll tell you that this is a total team effort.
This year's the first year we really worked together, even to tell you the truth, and he's just one of the best receivers around. He adjusts my poorly thrown balls better than anyone, and he just makes me look good.
Mike Rudnick and the rest in the backfield, that also makes your job pretty easy, being able to hand off somebody like them.
Yeah, it does. It gives them holes with me being able to throw the ball, and they give me time to throw because they have to respect the run.
Is the revenge factor that big for the team?
I think it is, because last year they beat us our first home game, and then we did to them this year, and then they beat us again in the section playoff last year, and we just need to come out and play hard. We know they're going to be ready for us, and we just need our revenge. It'll be sweet.
Anoka quarterback Brooke Parent. Blaine, the 1988 state champion. They're led by running back Jerry Wrightan, a senior of 5'6", 5'8", 160 pounds. Not a big guy, but he's quick and he's a tough sucker. 21 touchdowns this year. He's really the heart and soul of this team. He realizes, as Charlie Selleck found out, this might be the last game in his high school career.
All our strategy is just going out there and, play our best. I mean, the loser of this game, is the end of the season. For the seniors, it's going to be tough for them because, they played this game for 3 years in high school, and it's going to be tough just leaving it. So I'm sure both teams is going to be out there, fighting.
Anoka defense that you'll be facing ranked #1 in the Twin Cities Suburban, and obviously they're going to have a crosshairs on you.
Yeah, face that with other teams too, and it's like, I have no problem with that because I have confidence in our line, and if we execute well, then we should do against them. It's whoever wants it the most.
That's Jerry Wrightan, Blaine's good running back. Well, we'll have the kickoff for you right after this. It's not too cold out here. It could be worse. And we'll have the opening kickoff for you right after this.
state championship point. You listen to it.
Hi everybody, Andy Bowe along with Bob Bradovich from Goodrich Field in Anoka, the Pumpkin Bowl. Tonight, the Region 4AA semifinals, Blaine against Anoka. Anoka, the #1 team in the state, 9-0 record, 7-0 in the conference. And of course, they won the Twin Cities Suburban Conference this year. Blaine, the 1988 state champion, fine program under Coach Dave Nelson, who is from Anoka. And Bob, two teams with also excellent years, and let's see how they got to this point.
Anoka defeated Osseo in the first round of the Section 4AA playoffs. Andy, it was a 41-7 win for the Tornadoes over the Osseo Orioles. And in this game, it was only 14-7 at halftime, but Anoka used a 20-point fourth quarter and 2 touchdowns by their spine running back, senior Mike Rudnick. They go on to win that one 41-7. Blaine had a little tougher time. They defeated Irondale 28-14. Jerry Rytan with 166 yards and 2 touchdowns. Blaine had a bit of a scare in that one as their other fine running back, 5'7", Shane Noga, was knocked out, and that one was carried off the field with a concussion. He should see some action tonight. If not, we'll see the big guy, 244-pound Nick Dubovich. He's a senior. And these two teams met once this year, and it was Anoka defeating Blaine 23-8 in a very hard-fought game. But it was the Anoka defense with the story in that one. Jerry Rytan held to only 38 yards by Anoka's defense. Anoka pretty much dominated that game. But again, we're in the playoffs. Anything can happen. And Blaine does have a good team.
Anoka has the home field advantage. We're going through the starting lineups right now. See if we can get them up on the screen for you. Looks like Blaine has won the toss, and they'll receive to open this first half. On offense, Blaine's led by, of course, Jerry Rytan, number 21. He'll start at running back. They play usually a one-back set with a couple wingbacks. There's their offensive line. Procopio, Schwartz, Swanson, Larson, and Steinke for the Blaine offensive line. They're not all that big, and they're young. Tight end A.J. Katcheris, and the starting wide receiver, Kyle Marty, although they'll rotate Chad Strand and Chad Weeks. And Anoka, that's offensive for the Tornadoes, although they'll start on defense. Brooke Parent, second leading passer in the Twin Cities Suburban. Kevin Peterson, and watch out for Mike Rudnick. He only averages about 10 yards a carry. And his fullback will be Mike Haney. Those are the guys we'll probably be calling the most tonight, the guys that touch the ball. Anoka, they're a senior-laden team. And Blaine, much younger. They're actually, Dave Nelson was pleasantly surprised this year. They lost a lot of seniors last year to graduation. They were the conference champions last year. And Anoka, with all those seniors, won the conference this year.
As you mentioned earlier, Andy, the Blaine Bengals are really building a fine tradition over there. They're the 1988 state champions. They defeated Cretin-Durham Hall in the title game. And their coach is actually from Anoka.
Anoka defensively. 3-4 alignment, nose guard, Jeff Sturzel. Left end, Greg Barris, and the right end, Chad Abram, the athletic director, Terry Abram's son. Linebackers are good. Look out for Andre Lee and John DeRoche. Middle linebackers, Ryan Danner and Brian Bross on the outside. Defensive secondary, Pete Roback and Bart Johnson. They're good ones. Mike Irke and Mike Moore comprise the rest of their defensive secondary, and they are good. Number of players that also played on the Anoka hockey team that took 4th place at the state tournament last year. And all those seniors with tournament experience and football experience from last year. And Blaine set to kick off.
Anoka's going to get the ball first, Andy, and Anoka does have a very explosive offense. Be interesting to see how Blaine's young defense can, if they can shut down Anoka and force them to turn the ball over.
Jason Lockinen set to kick off. Mike Rudnick deep. And we're underway with this Region 4AA semifinal. They'll let Rudnick have it. He drops the ball at the 10-yard line. Blaine swarms him. Rudnick with good speed gets across the 20-yard line to the 21.
Rudnick that time losing the handle just off the kickoff, but he recovered well enough, got behind his wedge, and did bring the ball up to about the 20-yard line.
About 45, 50 degrees at game time, and a pretty good-sized wind that you might have seen blow some sand into mine and Bob's faces as we were about to start our pregame. Nevertheless, it's not as cold as it could be for this time of the year. First play of the game up the middle is 32 for Anoka. Kevin Peterson. Gain of about 3 yards for Peterson on first down.
That was number 50, Jason Lockinen, 5'10", 195-pound senior linebacker for the Blaine Bengals, making the stop. Lockinen and John Hillman, only a 10th grader, are the linebackers for the Bengals. One change for the Bengals on defense. Chad Brenny, who's normally listed as a linebacker, number 63, he'll be at the strong safety because Steve Harsdorf is out with a neck injury.
Parent giving up the middle, that's Haney. So they've used Rudnick as a decoy for the first 2 plays. Gain of about 2 for Haney. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 5. Interestingly enough, we thought the Blaine Bengals would start on offense. Their offensive team was introduced, lined up in a offensive formation right off the field after they were introduced. But they are on defense to start this game. There's Anoka offensively. Zimmerman, Schuster, Nowak, Holm, and Dan Ryman. Tight end Rob Terry and their excellent wide receiver Jeremy Loritz. He's out split to the top of your screen. Peterson up the middle, and that's going to be stopped way short of the first down as Blaine does the job.
Nice defensive stand that time for the Blaine Bengals. We mentioned that at the top of the show. How is their young defense going to hold the Anoka Tornadoes? Anoka coming out with some conservative play calling, and it was Anoka's defense, Blaine's defense, getting good penetration from the line, or good penetration from the line. Linebackers filling the holes well, and they stopped Anoka, and they're going to force Anoka 3 downs and punt here. Let's take a look at the Blaine defense.
Defensive ends, they play a kind of a 5-2 set. Downing, Mayo, and the rest. There's their good linebackers, Laukinen and Hillman. Here's the punt by Bart Johnson of Anoka, and it is a good one. Right hand deep, he takes it for Blaine at his own 20-yard line. Right hand, 5'8", 160, look at him go. Past the 50 and brought down. 30-yard run back for right hand, number 21, to start the game for Blaine.
You see right there where Jerry Right-Hand, one of the most exciting players in the Twin Cities Suburban Conference, and he was the number 2 rusher, one of the leading scorers in the conference as well. Just followed his blocking on the right side, used his speed and quickness to get to the outside and pick up a very nice return.
Blaine and quarterback Aaron Smith come to the line at their own 49-yard line. Didn't quite cross midfield. Pitch to guess who? Right-Hand to start the game. Right-Hand bouncing outside and getting about 5 yards for the Blaine Bengals on first down.
Big hit that time by number 9, Pete Roback, 169-pound senior, and he's the defensive captain for the Anoka Tornadoes.
Anoka offensively after starting the game with 3 carries for 5 yards. Looking at the blackboard, chart something new down there against the Blaine defense. 2nd and 5 for Aaron Smith. Right-Hand and Dubovich. There's Right-Hand, and he'll not get much. 2-yard loss for Jerry Right-Hand on 2nd down and 5.
Well, that's what the Anoka Tornadoes are going to have to do to stop Right-Hand by stringing that sweep out. It was number 34, John DeRoche, the junior linebacker, 93 pounds, made a nice play pushing that play outside. He didn't make the tackle, but he was the one that really made Right-Hand run out of room there.
Blaine likes to put Right-Hand in a wingback formation and sweep him around the opposite end. But that was a 2-yard loss. Smith to pass. Quick timing pattern. It's cut for a first down by Chad Weeks.
Nice play calling that time by the Blaine Bengals. Weeks just running a simple crossing pattern behind the linebackers. He caught the seam of the defense. Nice throw by Aaron Smith, the 6-foot senior quarterback. And I think, Andy, that's one thing that Blaine's going to have to do against this Anoka defense. They're going to have to attack them. They're going to have to show them some other things. You just can't give the ball to Right-Hand all the time. He's a fine bank, but they need to diversify the offense a bit and give Anoka some different looks.
1st and 10 from the Anoka 37-yard line, up the middle. Is Dubovich, 44. Noga not in the game for Blaine in this opening series. Good gain of about 6 yards for Nick Dubovich. There's Dwayne Johnson, the coach of Anoka.
Dubovich is the exception of the Blaine running backs. Both Noga and Wrighton go about 5'7", 5'8", under 60 pounds. Dubovich, 220 pounds.
There's Wrighton up the middle on a delayed handoff, and he's got the first down for the Bengals. Gain of about 5 yards.
Quick hitting play by Jerry Wrighton that time. He's only a little guy. We mentioned 5'8", 160, but he hits the holes very well, and he had some good room running over that right tackle that time. And there's some big hitting going on there. Anoka's a very physical team. There's a lot of pushing, a little bit of contact after the whistle. We'll have to keep an eye out for that later on.
Blaine moving on Anoka at the Anoka 25-yard line. They started with great field position at midfield. Dubovich the lone setback. And coming to the near side and not gaining much is Jansen, I believe.
Nice play that time by Chad Abram, number 91, defensive tackle. He made some nice penetration coming through from his right defensive tackle spot, and he tripped up the ball carrier that time with some good penetration.
Make that Brad Hannon, 39 for Blaine. Gained only 1 yard on the play. Blaine rotating their running backs freely and often. 2nd and 9 for Aaron Smith. Weeks high to the top of your screen. Smith gonna pass. Delay pattern, and incomplete for Wrighton. Boy, I thought he had his foot down.
Looked like he had his foot down. We had a tuba in the way of our camera that time, but the referee was right on the play, right on the line, and he waved that one incomplete, out of bounds. Jeff Sturzel, the Anoka nose tackle, came out the play before last. He seemed to be favoring his right leg, and he still is over on the sideline getting some attention from the trainer.
Now a 3rd down and 9. Anoka 26-yard line. Smith fakes, looking for Weeks on the fade pattern, and it's overthrown. That'll bring up a 4th down. No flags. He looked open, but the ball was overthrown. Weeks looked like he didn't expect the ball to come to him.
I think what happened that time is that Weeks had to break off that pattern. Aaron Smith looking for Weeks to go out to the sideline, and Weeks a little late making that adjustment, but it was a nice defensive play by Pete Roback. Weeks did have a step on him, but Roback made a nice recovery. He actually was closer to the ball and came close to picking that one up.
4th and 9, they're going for it, not really surprisingly. Not trusting their kicking game, but Anoka draws the incompletion, and they'll take over on downs.
Play didn't work. The pass from Smith was overthrown, Andy, but I like the play calling, and I like what Blaine is doing coming out initially. I think they're making a statement to Anoka. They're not afraid of the Tornadoes, and they're going to attack them, and I think that's the way you have to play. You can't come in and expect to play a conservative game against the Tornadoes, because you might get blown right up off the map.
1st and 10 for Anoka now. 6:07 to go in this first quarter, no score. Here's Haney around right in to the near side, and a good gain for Mike Haney of about 7 yards. We have yet to see Mike Rudnick carry the ball, leading rusher in the Twin Cities Suburban.
Haney we don't hear a lot about because of some of the other fine players in the Anoka Tornadoes, but Haney is a good one. He's a 168-pound senior, and he's a good running back. You saw that time, just made a nice run around the right side, followed his blockers well.
2nd down, 3. Parent's gonna throw, looking for Loretz, and they're going deep. Loretz isn't really open, and it's overthrown. Good effort, though, by Jeremy Loretz.
Parent airing it out that time to his favorite receiver, number 7, Jeremy Loretz. But it was some good coverage deep that time for the Bengals.
They're picking on Chad Brenny, the strong safety for Blaine, who's replacing Arsdorf, Brian Arsdorf, or Steve Arsdorf, that's injured. And it's 3rd and 3. Here's Rudnick. 1st down, Anoka and more. Look at Mike Rudnick in the game. 20, 10, and touchdown, Anoka. Oh my, 66 yards for Rudnick.
Mike Rudnick with his first carry and getting the most out of it, taking that sweep handoff over the left side, and you saw the acceleration there, 67 yards. Once he got in the open field, there was nobody, Andy, that was going to catch him.
Mike Rudnick now has a 66-yard average for the night, 10-yard average for the year. 24, Mike Rudnick, what a runner. They've been using him as as a decoy. Not that time.
Well, you knew that at some point he was going to be getting the ball, and I think that play that Anoka ran just before the touchdown, throwing the long pass, you've got to make the defense respect the pass as we watch the extra point attempts.
Extra point is good by Steve Magnuson, and Anoka jumps on top. 7-0 with 5:44 to go in this first quarter. There's Dwayne Johnson. Had it wrong last time, I believe. 12th year as the Anoka coach. What a program he has here. Of course, he has a pretty darn good talent pool to choose from.
Anoka, of course, the biggest high school in the state of Minnesota. And but numbers aren't the whole story. I think you have to look a little lower. You have to look at the feeder programs. You have to look at the coaches at the junior high level. Anoka, very fine tradition. They produce some fine college athletes. And this group right here is as good as any that Dwayne Johnson's ever had.
Right-hand and Jansen back to receive for Anoka, who trails 7-0. Kicking off for Anoka is Greg Barris, number 68, who's a defensive tackle. Kicking off at his own 40-yard line. And the chalkboard session worked for the Anoka Tornadoes. They lead at 7-0. Here's a good kick by Barris. Right-hand gets it at his own 5-yard line. Up the middle goes Jerry Right-hand. He's brought down hard at the 20, but the 18-yard line of Blaine.
It gets a big roar of the Anoka fans on this side, and also a big roar of that Anoka sideline. A big hit on Right-hand that time, and it's going to back up the Blaine Bengals to about their own 14-yard line. Excuse me, their 18-yard line.
Here comes Blaine with Aaron Smith, their quarterback. Up the middle, the give. Boy, it's hard to see the numbers down there. That's 38, who's not listed on the program, but it looks like Shane Noga, to tell you the truth. Noga, not the biggest guy. Nevertheless, a gain of about 1.
You mentioned the numbers. Blaine wearing the white jersey. They've gone to the dark blue jerseys. A little easier to see the numbers, but their white jerseys, their away jerseys, they still have the light blue numerals, and they're a little tough to pick up from up here.
Flags down on this give, and it looked to be illegal motion on Blaine. Not a very good gain up the middle, and it is illegal motion on the Blaine Bengals. We'll see if Anoka takes this penalty. Pete Roback talking with the officials. Officials tonight, Keith Olson there, the referee. They've declined the penalty, has Anoka. Gain of 2 up the middle. And I believe that was Noga on the carry. 3rd down and 7 for Blaine. So a big play already early in this first quarter. Fake pitch. Smith's got it. He's going deep for Weeks. And it's overthrown. Just breaking away at the last minute from those two Anoka folks.
Weeks looks like he has some good speed. He's got he's a bigger kid, but that time some good defense that time by Roback, and I believe it was Bart Johnson, the strong safety, that came over to help out. And Anoka's defense, Blaine drove him in the first drive, but the second drive, 3 plays and punt as we watch the replay.
For the punt on Blaine, snap was fumbled. They've just get it away. Now Rudnick takes it at his own 40 and brought down at the 45. Punt there by John Frank, number 12. And he bobbled it, but got it away just barely, and it turned out to be a pretty good kick for Blaine. So Anoka takes over. They lead 7-0 with 4:18 to go in this first quarter.
That could have been a big blow to the Blaine Bengals that time. Fumbled snap on the punt, but the punter did manage to get away, and he did get off a good kick. Got them out of a hole.
Rudnick split right, and Loretz, who catches the ball, split left for a gain of about 6 yards. It's first completion, and Loretz's, of course, first reception of the night.
Let's watch the replay here. Just a simple square-out pattern on the left side. Brooke Ferentz showing a good arm. Good touch on the ball, so he gets it to his favorite wide receiver, number 7, Jeremy Loretz.
At midfield now come the Tornadoes. They lead 7-0. After that punt, have good field position again. Now a down to work with. 2nd and 4. Give is to Haney. Sweep right. Cuts back with some room is Mike Haney. Now a flag down. And it looks to be holding as Haney gets about 20 yards.
Have to see what that flag is, Andy, but that was a nice run by Haney that time, and a similar type of play that he ran earlier for some good yardage. And it seems that those sweep plays, I'm not sure exactly what Blaine is not doing, but they're not getting to the corners very well, and Anoka's picking up some good yardage, but it looks like this one's going to go back.
Keith Olson, the referee, Joe Clay, Ron Rischel, and Mick Saul are the umpires tonight. And it is against Anoka, and boy, that's a 15-yarder. It's a clip. Push in the back, as signaled by Keith Olson. Tried to get a wireless mic tapped into Mr. Olson, but apparently it's not working, but by his hand signals, a push in the back. Second down and about 20 to go. Anoka looking for Loretz, and he's got it! And out of bounds for the Tornadoes. Oh, man, at the 35-yard line of Blaine.
Jeremy Loretz is the leading receiver in the Twin Cities Suburban Conference, and that's a very nice combination, Parent to Loretz. Brooke Parent just airing it out on the left side. Beautiful touch that time.
30-yard gain for Loretz and a first down for Anoka.
We'll watch the replay here, Andy. Just a straight drop back for Loretz. He's looking left. He had Loretz in his mind all the way. Loretz with a couple feet on his Steve Shapolsky rather.
Parent on first down. Loretz on the right side. Man slips. Loretz stretching. Now a big hit at the end of that play, and there's a flag. About a 9-yard gain to Loretz. He was bashed at the last minute by the Blaine defender. And it is a late hit on Blaine. Tough penalty to take.
Referee that time kind of hesitated in making that call, but it was right at his feet. And it did look to be a fairly clear late hit that time. And that's the kind of mistake that Blaine coaching staff doesn't like to see, because Anoka driving, they already have a 7-0 lead here first quarter, and they don't need to give them any additional yardage.
Region 4AA semifinal action from Anoka. I'm Andy Bowe along with Bob Bradovich, and Anoka's leading it 7-0, and there's the personal foul call on Blaine. The ball now all the way down to the Blaine 13-yard line, 1st and 10 for Anoka. 3:30 to go in this first half. There's Rudnick getting the ball, 24 on left side, cuts back, and he'll score.
You get a penalty flag down on that play behind the play.
The cheering has stopped rather quickly in the stands, just as Loretz crossed the goal line, and the penalty is against Anoka.
Let's see if we can pick that one up on the replay. I guess we're not going to see it, but there goes Mike Rudnick dancing into the end zone.
We sure did have a clear cutback there, did Rudnick, from 13 yards out. And obviously the hold occurred pretty near the cutback, allowing Rudnick so much room. Now it'll be first down and 20 for Anoka. Here's Loretz on the play, getting bashed around pretty good. Didn't see the hold.
I think the hold was on the right side of the line. That play went left.
17 from the 20-yard line.
Anoka beat Osseo 41-7 in the quarterfinals of Region 4AA, and Blaine beat Irondale 28-14. 1st and 20 for Anoka. Haney, sweep right. 3 defenders there for Blaine, and they wrap him up for no gain.
That's the 3rd time Anoka's tried to run that sweep to the near sideline with Haney, and that time Blaine getting nice defensive pressure and getting to the corner before Haney forcing to turn it back around.
Haney so far 3 carries and 9 yards. Kevin Peterson 2 carries for 4 yards, and Mike Rudnick 1 carry and only 66 yards and a touchdown. Anoka marching band getting into it. 2nd and 20 now. Looking for Loretz's Parent. Corner of the end zone. Incomplete. Oh boy. Same pattern every time. And Blaine has yet to devise a scheme to defense it.
Ball is out of bounds.
Well, I think what they're trying to devise up there is putting maybe their best athlete, Steve Shapolsky, on Loretz, and it was Shapolsky getting a hand in there, breaking up that pass. But again, a very nicely thrown ball by Brooke Barron. And he put it on the outside shoulder of Loretz that time, and that's where you want to throw that ball, Andy. That kind of ball is not going to get picked up.
Not usually you find such an excellent passing attack in high school like this. Parent. 3rd down and 20 now, and Rudnick, they'll give him the ball, see what he can do, and he gains about 3 yards for Anoka. It's going to bring up a 4th down and about 17.
Good point you make about the Anoka passing attack, and we had some numbers for you. We'll show you those numbers later. But Brooke Parent was the #2 passer in the Twin Cities Suburban Conference. And you're right, a passing attack at the high school level will really keep the defense on their heels going backwards. Mel Scanlon down at Cretin-Derham Hall, he's got himself a fine passing attack, and you can see how that kind of attack can really dominate at this level.
Steve Magnuson in for the field goal attempt, and it hits the post. No good. That was an attempt of 35 yards for Steve Magnuson, and the score stays Anoka 7, Blaine nothing, with 1:43 to go in this first quarter.
Blaine dodging a bullet that time, Andy. They had the touchdown, but of course that touchdown was called back. Rather, Anoka scoring the touchdown by Rudnick, but that touchdown was called back on the holding penalty. And Blaine's defense stiffens. They get a nice play by Shapolsky to break up the pass, and a nice play on Rudnick that time.
1st and 10 from the 20 for Blaine. Quick pitch to the left side is right hand, and Anoka swarms for no gain.
We've been talking about defensing the sweep, and there's a textbook example of how to stop it. Is get your linebackers wide out to the sideline and get your defensive backs coming up on the play, and there's a whole host of tacklers stopping Jerry Right hand. Let's look at it here.
They like to pitch the ball really quickly and get a step on the defense, but Anoka had their right cornerback out there, Magnuson already. 2nd down 10, in motion, and up the middle for no gain. Hannon was the man in motion, and right hand the ball carrier for no gain. Rather, Noga, who's wearing number 38 tonight for some reason.
Again, after that play, a lot of pushing and shoving after the whistle. These two teams know each other pretty well. They're neighborhood rivals, Blaine and Anoka, and they played once earlier this year. Anoka coming out on top on that one, 23-8.
Now 3rd and 10 for Blaine. Smith under center. Weeks wide to the left. And Marty wide to the right. Smith back to pass. Weeks crossing pattern, and he gets decked by Magnuson. Incomplete.
Check that. That was number 22, Mike Erkey, with the big hit. Or excuse me, that was Magnuson making the big hit that time. That's a play that Blaine ran earlier. But a big hit that time, breaking it up. Blaine's going to be forced to punt.
Frank to punt, almost blocked. Rudnick runs up on the ball, no fair catch, and he shoots right up the middle and all the way to the Blaine 32-yard line.
What an aggressive play by Mike Rudnick that time. He foregoed the fair catch and just took the ball on the run and ran right through the heart of that Blaine coverage team and gave his team a good field position, and Anoka knocking on the door once again.
Clock running down, 10 seconds in this first quarter. Here's the replay of Rudnick, boy. What a runner he is. 1st and 10, let's see if they can get the play off before time runs out. They do. Rudnick fumbles, he gets it right back and dives forward, gets about 2 yards. That's the end of the first quarter from Anoka's Goodrich Field, the Pumpkin Bowl. And Anoka leading Blaine 7-0. Packed house at the Pumpkin Bowl.
For the best in community arts, no one performs like local cable programming. TV that hits home.
He picks off the pass. Back to the Anoka, or their own 40-yard line. 56 Hillman.
John Hillman, sophomore linebacker, picking off that pass. And again, Blaine dodging another bullet. The Anoka Tornadoes had a great field position on a good return by Mike Rudnick, but they give it back on the first play here to open up the second quarter.
So
Blaine will take over.
At their own 40-yard line now, 1st and 10. got stuck with pretty poor field position the last couple sets of downs. Didn't go anywhere after opening the game at midfield and moving the ball. 7-0 Anoka leads. Dubovich, and now Hannon running left. Breaks a couple tackles, gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it.
Blaine just having no success attacking the outside of that Anoka defense. You might look to see Blaine running some option plays to try to create a little deception if they're going to go wide. And with the smaller running backs, I guess you're not going to see them go up the middle too much.
2nd and 10 for Blaine. Fake to Dubovich. Swing pass to Hannon, incomplete. So Blaine has gone absolutely nowhere in their last 3 sets of downs so far.
Trying a little swing pass out of the backfield that time, but just over the head of the receiver. Number 39, that was Brad Hannon. Smith put the ball over his head.
Now 3rd and 10 from the 40 for Blaine. Trying to get something going. They trail 7-0. Smith looking in the flat for Marty. Gets wrapped up, gets away, but he's sacked for a 10-yard loss.
Number 84. Don't have, let's check that number. That was number 84, Ryan Danner, defensive end, senior defensive end for the Tornadoes. Good pressure that time by Aaron Smith.
4th and 20, and the punt by Frank, and it's not a very good one. And it doesn't even make it past midfield. Anoka will get the ball on the Blaine 48-yard line.
Aside from Blaine's first possession, when they drove the ball pretty well against Anoka, in fact, they drove it all the way down to about the Anoka 20-yard line, their offense has really sputtered, and you have to give a lot of the credit for that to the Anoka defense. Very strong defense, very aggressive defense, goes to the ball well. And this is now the 3rd time that Anoka's offense will get the ball in very good field position. They're in Blaine territory at about the 48.
Quick moving game. 10:37 to go, 2nd quarter, as Anoka, leading 7-0, gets the ball on the Blaine 48-yard line. Parent, fake to Rudnick. All sorts of time. Looking for Loretz, who turns the other way and dives and misses the ball. Had him turned around, so in mid-stride, which is very tough to do, Loretz turned back to his right, but the ball was overthrown.
Brooke Barrett again showing a fine arm. He was a little banged up after their win last week over Osseo last week. Not exactly sure what the injury was, but I doubt if it was to either his passing arm or his passing hand, because he's shown a very nice touch, and he's thrown a good arm. That ball traveled over 50 yards in the air that time.
2nd and 10 for the Tornadoes. Up the middle, good room for, a lot of room for Peterson. He gets about 9 yards. Kevin Peterson, number 32, 198-pound senior, gained 8 on the play.
Anoka just has a lot of fine athletes, and they can come at you in a lot of different ways, as we're seeing those so far in the first half of this one.
Brooke Parent barking his signals, gives up the middle to Rudnick, and he's wrapped up short of the first down.
Nice play that time. Jason Lockenden, senior linebacker, wrapped up Rudnick right around the ankles and hung on for his teammates to help him out. And it looks like Anoka's going to have to punt the ball.
Bart Johnson, their punter. Number 21, also their strong safety. We'll see if anything is up for Anoka right here. The ball is at the Blaine 40-yard line. Johnson gets the snap and he punts the ball. High spiral. Blaine will let it bounce and it goes in the end zone for a touchback. Blaine will get their ball on their own 20-yard line. They'll try to move the ball better than they have the last few series. 9:18 to go in the first half.
You know, Andy, Blaine has shown the pass so far, but they haven't been terribly successful at it. And as the Blaine coach, I guess I'd be looking at maybe attacking the flanks of the Anoka defense, maybe with some option plays, and maybe getting Raitan the ball in the pass.
Up the middle for Blaine, and no gain for Raitan. Now they'll give him about 1 yard. So Blaine continuing to struggle.
Well, one of the reasons for that, Andy, I do believe, is the fact that they've these last couple times they've had the ball, they haven't had really great field position, and field position is going to really dictate what kind of what kind of offense you can run. They're going to have to be a little bit more conservative when they're backed up toward their own goal line.
Blaine, 2nd and 9. And reverse to Weeks. He's wrapped up. Now he squirts free. Chad Weeks, and now brought down by Magnuson after a gain of 5. Boy, if Magnuson wasn't there, he was gone.
Chad Weeks with a gain of 5 yards. He must have ran about 30 yards in his own backfield. Slipped a couple tackles. Blaine again trying to do something different here, running the reverse, trying to take advantage of Anoka's pursuit as we watch the replay. And they sniffed that one out pretty well. Anoka did, but Weeks showing some good athletic ability.
Boy, if Raitan figured that Weeks would head back his way, he would have taken Magnuson out. Weeks had all sorts of room. 3rd down and 5. From the Blaine 35. Hannon in motion. Fake up the middle. Now a pass on the flat, and it's caught by Raitan for a 1st down.
We mentioned that earlier. That's one way to get the ball to Jerry Raitan. He's a very quick back, and if you can utilize him coming into the backfield on some passes, he could take advantage. Anoka's got good linebackers, but I don't think they've got anybody as quick as number 21, Jerry Raitan.
2 for 6 for 19 yards is Aaron Smith for Blaine. 1st and 10 at the Blaine 34-yard line. Up the middle, here's Raitan. He gets bopped. That's DeRoche, 34. That was Shane Noga on the carry.
DeRoche with a big time, that's a big time play at that time. Just barreling through the hole. You watch him stuff Jerry Raitan right here after a 2-yard gain. DeRoche has got about 33 pounds on Raitan, and he just rolled him back that time after a gain of 2.
Now Marty is split to the bottom of your screen for the Bengals, the 1988 state champions. 2nd down and 8. Hannon in motion. Give up the middle to Raitan. Squirting around, gains about 1 yard.
Good penetration by the Anoka line that time, but Raitan, a very shifty, a very elusive back.
6 carries, 10 yards only for Raitan, who scored only 21 touchdowns this year for the Bengals. Good running back. I don't know if he's a Division I caliber back, but he's a definite Division II back. If you look at a guy like Gary Treadle, Division III at St. Thomas, who's chewing up the MIAC, you can see Raitan doing well. That ball's picked off by Magnuson. Magnuson still going across the Blaine 20-yard line to their 18.
Teams are even in turnovers, and Magnuson that time with a nice heads-up play. Ball was bobbled by the receiver. Magnuson just got his hands in there, picked it off, and made a nice return. Once again, Blaine's defense is going to be put to the test.
This game is quick moving. Both teams don't kid around when they get the ball, and Anoka's right up to the ball with 6:15 to go in this 1st half. And they lead 7-0 to the Tornadoes. 1st and 10 from the Blaine 19. Up the middle, that's Peterson. And he gains about 3-4 yards. So a good 1st down carry for Kevin Peterson, the big senior for Anoka. Tornadoes number 1 in the state, 9-0 record. They have their hands full tonight with a very young and tough Blaine team, who also have a winning tradition through the Bengals. So they have their hands full in this Region 4AA semifinal. Parent now gives to Rudnick. Rudnick squeezes through. 5, touchdown Anoka.
Beautiful run that time by Mike Rudnick following his blockers. They gave him a bit of a gap, and he went right through that time. Anoka taking advantage of the turnover. They've had a couple chances here this 1st half. And it's that man right there, number 24, Mike Rudnick, with the touchdown. He goes in, he puts Anoka on top 13-0. They're lining up for the extra point.
Squeezed through not a very big hole there. Good effort at the last minute by Weeks, who's also the free safety for Blaine. And Anoka scores. They lead 13-0 pending the extra point by Magnuson. And he chops it through for the extra point. 5.5 to go, 1st half. And now Anoka leads it 14-0.
I think if you're Blaine right now, Andy, you've got to be very concerned. You came out fired up for this game. You've got a turnover in your favor. You had one good drive early, but since then, nothing you've done offensively has worked. And you've given Anoka good field position. You can't do that with a team like Anoka. And right now, with about 5.5 minutes to go in the first half, you find yourself in a hole 14-0.
14 points down to the #1 team in the state. Rudnick now, 2 touchdowns, one of 66 yards in his first carry of the game, and that one from 15 yards out. Now has 5 carries for 87 yards.
Get a look at the crowd on the near side of the field. Stands on both sides of this field here, the Pumpkin Bowl, Goodrich Field and Anoka. A lot of people lined up here to see the #1 team in the state, the Anoka Tornadoes. See if they can advance to the Section 4 finals.
Kickoff by Barris, handled by Raitan at his own 3-yard line. Oh boy, he's brought down by Magnuson. He got down there quick, brought him down, did he on Raitan at the 13-yard line of Blaine, so they start in a hole again.
Magnuson doing it all for the Anoka Tornadoes. You saw earlier, he picked off that pass and ran it back about 30 yards. Let's watch the replay here. Watch the hit he gets on Jerry Raitan right here. Just coming straight through. I'm not sure where the blocking was that time for Blaine. But again, Blaine is backed up. Blaine is backed up big, way back in their own territory.
Aaron Smith for Blaine, the quarterback. Up the middle give. Raitan gains about 3 yards. Raitan struggled so far. That's his 7th carry. And 13 yards.
Jerry Raitan getting a lot of work for the Blaine Bengals. Andy, have we seen Noga yet for Blaine? I don't believe we have.
Pardon me?
I don't believe we've seen Noga yet thus far for the Blaine Bengals.
Well, he's wearing number 38 now, I think. That's my guess, and I've been calling that as if he was, because there's no 38 in the Blaine roster. Noga normally wearing 36. There's Hannon on the sweep left. Gets around the end. And he gets a first down and more. Across the 40-yard line and out to midfield is Brad Hannon.
Boy, there's a big run for Hannon, number 39, and he gets Blaine out of a deep hole just running the sweep. That's the first time that sweep has been effective. Let's watch the replay. He just gets good blocking. He gets to the outside very quickly, and then he's off to the races. Slipped the tackle of Bart Johnson, the strong safety there. Ran it down before he was finally pushed out of bounds at about the 46-yard line.
They say he was out of bounds. 46 up the middle is Dubovich. Is a fake to him. The passes to the tight end Kacharis, and it's incomplete.
Nice play fake that time by number 11 quarterback Aaron Smith. Faked it to the big guy, faked out Andy, faked out our camera crew. But the pass was just a little too far for the intended receiver that time.
4:13 to go in this first half. Anoka leading by 2 touchdowns over the Bengals of Blaine. 2nd and 10 for Blaine. Wide to the right, Kyle Marty. There's Aaron Smith. 3rd in the Twin Cities Suburban this year. And passing, whoa boy. Greg Barnes wraps up Hannon for about a 6-yard loss.
Blaine going back to the play that worked for him 2 plays before, sweeping the left side with the running back Hannon. But no dice that time. Watch this penetration. Greg Barnes just marching right through, dragging down Hannon in the backfield. He's going to bring up a very important 3rd and 14 here for Blaine.
Barnes also the kicker for Anoka on the kickoffs. Greg Barris, number 68. 3rd down and 16 now for the Bengals, who trail by 2 touchdowns. Fake reverse. Look who's got it on his right hip, Raitan. Boy, he's got a first down and more. Here, he's still going. Fumble. And Anoka's got the ball. Boy, it looked like he might have fumbled when he was down, but that's not what the referees say.
We hope we see this one on the replay, because I think you may have a good point here, Andy. Watch the fake as Raitan holding on his hip. Now he cuts back here. Oh, it looked like, well, it's hard to say that time. We only have the one angle. Hard to say that time if the ball squirted out with the ground. We all know the ground cannot cause a fumble.
30-yard gain before the fumble by Raitan. Now Anoka in control. Up the middle, Haney. He's wrapped up by Blaine. They won't give up tonight. You can be sure of that. Tackle by Jason Laukin, the linebacker. of Blaine. 2nd and 9 for a gain of 1 for Haney.
Well, Blaine's defense is, they've got a tough, they've been on the field quite a long time here in the first half, and they're hoping they can shut Anoka down and get the ball back to their offense. We saw how explosive Right-Hand could be. But it's
that was a great fake by Right-Hand on that run. Pass to Loretz is complete for a gain of about 3 yards.
Going back to that Right-Hand play that time, he held the ball right on his right hip. He looked like a quarterback running a play fake that time. He did a very nice job, though, and you saw his quickness. When he gets out in the open field, he's very dangerous. But
that's the 4th catch for Loretz. Has a 30-yard gain in it. 60 yards for Jeremy Loretz on his 4 catches. 3rd down and 6 for Anoka. Brooke Parent gives to Rudnick on the sweep left. Cuts back. And gets the 1st down for Anoka. Boy, Blaine had him wrapped up. Finally brought down by Chad Weeks.
Well, Mike Rudnick's not a very big kid. He's 163 pounds. But you saw, he's the kind of kid who's big up on top, and you can't take him down with the arm tackle. You watch him slip a couple people right there before he's dragged down. It was Weeks who's seeing a lot of action for Blaine, but it's a 1st down Anoka.
42-yard line for the Anoka Tornadoes in their own territory. There's a fly pattern. Caught by Loretz at the Blaine 15-yard line. Oh, my.
Jeremy Loretz on the receiving end of that pass from Brooke Parent. And again, Parent put that ball right on the numbers. And again, he threw it to the outside. Let's watch the replay. Look at the hang time on that one. He had the defensive back, number 17, Shapolsky, all turned around. And again, when Parent's got the receiver going to the outside, he puts the ball on the right shoulder.
Just under a minute and a half to go in this half. Anoka marching again. Who's got the ball? Touchdown, Anoka. That's Rudnick.
Nice deception in the backfield that time by Brooke Parent. And the main man, Mike Rudnick, getting the ball, and he marches right through the middle. And Anoka wasting no time taking advantage of that turnover by Blaine. After Blaine looked like they had a little momentum in a big game, they come right back 4 plays as Rudnick scores the touchdown. Minute 16 to go here, first half.
Anoka lining up on the far left of the field. If Blaine gives them a manpower advantage between the holder, kicker, and a couple up men, Anoka will just take the ball and go for 2. Blaine didn't. Now they're going to have to go for 2 on the bad snap. Parent keeps the ball, puts his head down, and gets the 2 points. Unbelievable.
How about that, Andy? They line up to kick the extra point. Parent couldn't handle the snap that time, but he just picked it up. He's the quarterback. You saw him running the option that time. He just lowered the boom that time and burst through the end zone. What else can go wrong for Blaine?
Here's the touchdown again. It was a reverse play. Haney handing it off to Rudnick. Both teams using great deception. And now 22-0, Anoka on top. Minute 16 to go in this first half. I'm Andy Bowe along with Bob Bradovich. And Anoka flexing their muscle tonight in this Region 4AA semifinal game. Winner of this game will play the winner of the Forest Lake Coon Rapids game, which is being played at this moment up in Forest Lake. Coon Rapids upsetting Park Center last week, 21-20. They blocked an extra point with a minute to go.
Coon Rapids, we just heard the score a while back. It was a 9-3 lead they had over Forest Lake. Must be first half. Coon Rapids could be on their way to their second upset.
Barris kicks off. Right-hand's got it. Whoa, boy, who's flying through there? Magnuson. I guess they're calling him down at the 5. Play quickly stopped. His knee touched. Did right-hands, and he's shaking his head. Not too pleased. This could be his last high school game tonight.
Could be, and he's had a very fine high school career. And you mentioned the little man in the MIC this year, Gary Treadle, with a fine season and a fine career down at St. Thomas. And I can think of a lot of MIAC coaches who would like to have Jerry Right-Hand in their backfield for the next 4 years. And just when you think that you've seen everything go wrong for Blaine, they call Right-Hand down. They say he touched a knee down at the 5-yard line that time. So 56 seconds left, our clock ticking. They have a long way to go to get on the board here.
They trail at 22-0 to the Bengals. There's Right-Hand, slips a tackle, crosses the 20 and out to the 25-yard line. So a gain of 20 yards for Jerry Right-Hand. He has 50 yards in his last 2 carries. so far in the night, has 63 yards on 9 carries.
Number 21, Bart Johnson, junior strong safety for the Tornadoes, knocked Raitan down that time. And Raitan had a big hole there, and that was a nice tackle. Very nice tackle by Bart Johnson, because Raitan had a lot of room up and not that near sideline.
It's been the Brooke Parent and Jeremy Loretz show tonight with a little help from Mike Rudnick. Blaine has the ball now. Smith for Weeks through his hands, incomplete on that 1st and 10 play.
Pass was there that time from Aaron Smith, but Chad Weeks just could not hang on. It was right through the hands.
Smith completed his first pass of the night 2 weeks on a 3rd down play on their first drive on a crossing pattern. They haven't tried a crossing pattern since, and Smith is now 2 for 9 passing with 19 yards. 2nd and 10 from the 23. Raitan squirts through, gets about 1 yard only. Well, we knew we'd see Raitan with a lot of carries. That's his 10th of the game.
Dave Nelson and the Blaine Bengals are going to let this clock tick out here with 5 seconds to go. They think they're just going to go in the locker room down 22-0. Try to regroup here.
End of the first half, and Anoka in control. They lead at 22-0 over the 1988 state champions, the Blaine Bengals. Anoka looking for that title in 1990. We'll be back with the second half and the halftime stats after this.